Yes, I'd also like to welcome Dom. Thank you very much for putting your name in the hat. It's a big risk to you and to your family, as my family has learned over the last 13 years. When you put your name out there in the public, and they have to go to the public schools, and they have to be, hear about their parents through teachers and other people. So it's a huge commitment to even put your name in the hat. I was appointed 13 years ago. Stephanie was appointed. Mark was appointed. Jeff was appointed. Dan, you weren't appointed. So you actually, So we've all been through the process of filling an open seat and interviewing. And I have a very hard time thinking that interviewing in an open forum would actually bring more candidates. I would worry that it would actually bring less candidates. And we all like to talk about how we want to run this city like a business and how important it is to get to the basics and stick to the budget and do everything we can to provide for the city of North Canton. But in a business setting, you don't interview a person in front of the entire department. You interview the person in front of the person who's going to be hiring you, and maybe one ancillary person to ask some extra questions. So I completely disagree with the repository's editorial. I feel as if it was very unsubstantiated. I didn't get a phone call from the rep asking me why or what's the process, or so it's very frustrating to sit up here, Dom. I apologize, because you're going to live through it, where things are just printed and said. However, nobody's even called or asked why we do the things we do. So I don't want to say that we can't change. That change is good, but I don't think interviewing in an open forum is conducive to finding good candidates. I think it would deter from anybody wanting to get into this craziness. So I applaud you, Don, for even doing it. As far as the deadline, Jeff made the deadline, I believe, and none of us realized it was a Sunday. So when we realized it was a Sunday, we said, well, the deadline can't be Sunday, it's got to be Monday, this is crazy. It was just sort of an oops as far as looking at the calendar or not looking at the calendar. And so we're very excited that Mr. Fonte put his name in the hat the next day. He had been on vacation the week prior. As far as Mr. Batista, wow, you are right. He brings a wealth of information. But I'm so flabbergasted by the fact that some of you sat there and said you would prefer him over a fresh, new look. You're so contradicting some of the things that you've been standing up here ranting and raving about over the last 6 months to a year. You tell me how you hate the Good Old Boys Club, and we all group think, and we all have all these issues that we're not dealing with separately, which is very far from the truth. And then we go and open our minds up to somebody who has been coming to council meetings, by the way, if you haven't noticed, who's extremely involved in the community. Mr. Batista hasn't been to a council meeting other than to sit up here and be our law director. Mr. Batista is not involved in our community. Mr. Batista has a home in Florida who's probably going to miss many, many meetings. Those were things we took into consideration. I don't have a home in Florida, Chuck. I just have 3 kids I'm trying to raise, and that's fair. Okay? So listen, we went outside the box and tried to find a fresh face. So I'm extremely excited to have Dominic as part of our team. He is a new, up-and-coming, very excitable kind of guy who is definitely going to get the job done. And I very much am excited to work with him. So, thank you.
Nice job.